All right. So again, let's kick it off. Best of, worst of 2021. Gonna start with our old faithful new Apple tech. What was your best of, worst of?
All right. So mine was even though um, what I wanted the most was a new, larger MacBook Pro, I tried to break this one down into something that I use the most.
Hmm.
And if I'm breaking it down on what I use the most, probably what I use the most is my iPhone, which is the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Um, Even though like I said, the MacBook is something that I wanted and probably for the purposes of my work, probably is the most beneficial. I still use my iPhone every single day, all day long. I am still beside myself as how much battery life it has. Like I said, I can go a full day and a half without putting it on the charge. So that's definitely beneficial. Of course, the camera is beneficial. And then every time I've got a case on my phone. So every once in a while, I take the case off and wipe it all down, and it just feels like a brand new device. So, like I said, the thing that I use the most that's a piece of Apple is the iPhone 13 Pro Max. So that was my pick.
Okay, and your worst?
The worst was the Apple Watch 7, simply because I got pulled into and we've mentioned this before, I got
Hmm.
pulled into this is what we're expecting out of the Apple Watch 7, and that's not what we got. Now, again, that was my fault. That was the rumor mill fault because Apple never really promised anything new. Maybe if I were to stretch and say, due to the supply chain issues, due to all the other things that happened, maybe the rumors were true. And Apple had every plan on launching a new design with a new shape or new colors or all these different things that the rumors were promising. And they couldn't make good on those rumors. So they decided to work with plan B and go
Hmm.
back to a similar looking watch, maybe one or two different colors, and just a little bit more screen real estate, which I was actually in Target yesterday. And I happened to walk by a Apple Watch 7, which is the first time actually seeing one in public. And I really
Hmm.
sat there for like 5 minutes and held my watch, which is the 6, up against the 7. And even with that, I had to flick through the display model to flick through to find that screen face that takes
Hmm.
advantage of the edge to edge display, quote unquote, in the 7. I still couldn't tell no difference. And it's like, you know what? Um, if it would have been more different, I probably would have picked up one. But the fact that it wasn't, I held back my my need to get it just because it's new, and I'm kind of
Hmm.
glad I did. So my worst of Apple tech is the Apple Watch 7. No fault to Apple. It just was not what I had built up in my head. And as a
It wasn't.
result, it didn't get anywhere near my expectations.
Yep. All right. For my best of, worst of, my best of was the M1 Pro 16-inch. I've been talking about upgrading my MacBook Pro, but I wanted a larger screen and I wanted the M1 chip. So that was definitely a highlight for me. I was first in line to get one. I got it delivered on the very first day of deliveries that morning. So I was pretty much, right in the queue. So that is definitely my best of. My worst of, piggybacking off of Brother Tech, is definitely the Apple Watch 7. I have a 5, I believe, and I was really looking forward to the 7 because it's long overdue time for me to upgrade. Because I think when the 6 came out, I was like, no, I think I'll wait. I think I'll skip it and wait for the 7. And again, what we all saw or the rumor mills of what was to come got us excited, and then it turned out to not be, you know, what we expected. So there was definitely a disappointment there.
Mhm.
So yeah, feelings a little bit hurt on
Yeah.
that.
So a
So
tangent. I'm gonna stop ordering things from Apple and having them
hmm.
shipped to my house. I'm probably going to pre-order them, on the web as soon as I can, however you get it.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as delivery, I'm actually going to pick it up in the store because my FedEx driver. I really don't get my Apple products till like 5, 6, 7 o'clock on that day, and maybe maybe a couple hours difference when I want it. But I know from experience, if I pre-order it and I go wait in line first thing in the morning, with the whole COVID thing, you got to have an appointment and all this other
Hmm.
things. I can get it pretty early versus having to wait the whole day, which again, to other people who are not techies, it's like, who cares? What's a day? Look, it cares.
Yeah,
It matters to me.
it matters. I need it, you know,
Right.
fairly early in the day,
Right. So,
because
side note, I'm probably gonna pick it up in store first thing in the
mm,
morning instead of waiting it to get shipped to my house.
yeah. All right. Next up is new Apple feature, best of, worst of.
Right. So
Um,
my best of feature was hide my email. Again, this
mhm,
goal I had really thought about these the hardest was what do I use the most of? And even though I talk a lot about some of the other features that you'll talk about in a minute, the
mhm,
one I use all the time is to hide my email because when I'm signing up for new newsletters, or if I'm signing up to get one piece of information or buy one product, there's no way you can buy a product online nowadays and not enter your email address. And what 90% of these websites or companies will say, by putting your email, you're agreeing to getting blah 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 blah. And there's really no. Some websites will give you the option to uncheck notify me about new products and services, which I've unchecked a lot of those and I still get the emails. My best line of defense nowadays is to hide my email function to where I can enter a burner email address. And then once I get the product or good or service that I need, instead of me having to trust that unsubscribe works, I can
mhm.
just cancel that burner email address and then boom, I don't get any more emails at all. So that was my best feature, new Apple feature. My worst Apple feature is the add your driver's license to Apple Wallet because I still don't have that functionality. Every week I search around to see if that has been added or enabled or if anybody else has it, and I can't tell if anybody has it yet. So again, that was one of the hyped features for me that I was looking for in iOS 15, and we just ain't got it yet. So that's
Right.
my worst feature because I can't use it.
All right. My best of is the legacy contact. I think I mentioned it when we talked about when the new iOS dropped. As a person whose next of contact would be my parents or my brother, being able to give someone access to my digital footprint on my device is really key, because other than giving someone my passcode to my phone, there's really no way for them to be able to basically get my whole digital life from either my phone or my Apple ID. So I thought that was really clutch. I mean, of course, COVID, that kind of exacerbates it. But for me, it's always been one of those things where what's going to happen, if I, pass away unexpectedly, because you have all the papers, deeds and wills and that type of thing. But the digital things to me are likely, I won't say more important, because, financial stuff is pretty important, but access to a lot of that is, on my phone. So being able to have the option to just assign that to someone and know that if something does happen to me, they'll be able to easily access my data profile assigned to my Apple ID. So that was my favorite Apple feature of 2021. My worst, you're going to hear this again later, but the Apple Wallet vaccine card, when they first announced it, I thought that I would be able to take my vaccine card and put that in the Apple Wallet, and that's just not the case. You have to have um, uh, you have had to have gotten your vaccine with a company or hospital or pharmacy that gives you the link to your card or whatever in order to get it added to your wallet. It's not
Right.
one of those things where you can just add your information and it
And,
validates it.
and even if you could, um, based on my research, um, the state of Georgia, specifically our governor,
Of
was
course.
one of those states that said, no, we will not be doing any sort of vaccine passport card
Passport.
officially by the government. What you're seeing in some of these states that are able to get their native vaccine card into Apple Wallet has been they've been in a state that allows quote unquote vaccine passport. It's not a passport, but they just again the
Someone said passport and then they just lost their crap.
well, it goes along with the whole politicizing
Yeah.
the politicizing COVID. You
Hmm.
know, it was most people who live in rural areas, most people who live in red states were against the vaccination. The same thing with the masks. So as a result, it makes sense that a lot of red states, which Georgia being one of them, our governor said no to this vaccine passport because that kind of for whatever reason, the way they spun it was that limits you in the places that you can and can't go. So we're not going to do it. Which that is not the reason of a passport. It's just for you to actually have a digital copy on your phone. But they said no. So again, we don't have it in Georgia. Even if we didn't, like for instance, I thought, like you thought, to where you had to have gotten it from a company that allows you to send you a link. Even if we did do that, the state would have they shut that down. So until we get a new governor, hopefully in
Hopefully
the
safety
next
Aprons.
yeah, especially in Georgia, hopefully that comes true. Then we can do that. But we got to wait a whole another year plus
Yeah.
for that to happen. So I can see why that's your worst because even if we could get it, we still couldn't get it.